Hello everyone, my name is Yaaseen Bin Yousuf and with me I have my group members Arief, Danial, Mohammad Hafizh Harmez, Zhi Ming, Jaw Tyng. So I'll be doing the introduction part for Sunway Community Service Project. Sunway Berhad was established on 26 January 1978 with the establishment of Sungai Way Holdings SDN BHD. The CEO, Tan Sri Dato Dr. Jeffrey Chia, led the organization with his transformative vision and boosted the company to achieve diversification and include trading, manufacturing, construction, quarrying, property development, and building materials business. On 16th of February 1984, Sunway Bharat was listed on the main board of Bursa Malaysia. The company later changed their name from Sungai Way Holdings to Sunway Holdings Berhad in 2007. Sunway City Berhad, a sister company of Sunway Holdings, was formed on 13th July 1982. In 2010, both Sunway Holdings Berhad and Sunway City Berhad were consolidated to create a new stature as a property construction behemoth by the name of Sunway Berhad. On 23rd August 2011, Sunway Berhad was successfully listed on the main board of Bursa Malaysia. On 19th September 2014, Sunway Group made plans to discontinue Sunway Constructions SDN BHD and formed Sunway Constructions Group Berhad by the name of Suncon. Suncon got a separate listing under the construction sector of the main board of Bursa Malaysia on 28 July 2015. Now my friend Mr. Hafiz will do the first community service initiative part.
For the first CSI, over the past few years, the Sunway Group has started a program called the Back to School program, in which they gave out school supply to 850 students in SMK Bandar Sunway and SK Bandar Sunway both. Of them were adopt schools. According to a survey by UNICEF Malaysia, property is the reality for almost all the students who were living in a low-cost flat in Kuala Lumpur. Sunway Group has also made up a survey that shows that most of the family who send their children to SMK Bandar Sunway will fall under B40 classification, meaning that they were classified as a low-income group in Kuala Lumpur. Therefore, Sunway Group provide this back-to-school program, which they provide school supplies such as school uniforms, school shoes, school bag, water bottles, and track bottom to keep them on the right track for the new schooling year. This supply could help those parents cut down on the cost which is required to purchase school necessities for the children, and also improve school attendance and allow them to reach their potential on several activities that they do not need to be worried about the lack of proper equipment. In the past, Sunway Group has already contributed more than RM4 million in total to both of the school through construction, paint, and repair works. So pass to the second CSI.
So for the second community service initiative, Sunway Group has granted 14 days free rental starting from 18 to 31st March 2020 to every tenant in all Sunway Mall. It includes Sunway Pyramid, Sunway Velocity, Sunway Carnival, Sunway Putra, Sunway Giza, and Sunway Citroneto. They are implementing this initiative to show concern to its tenants and want to make sure that they have enough time to pay for the rental fee. And the CEO of Sunway Malls and Theme Park, Hasey Tan, hope that this opportunity will benefit the landlords and tenants as things would be more manageable if they are sharing burden and prosperity rather than letting the SMEs face it alone. And he also stated that keeping the tenants feeling relief is an important thing in the mall industry as they are the ones that sell their product in our mall. Yep. So next slide, I will pass to Nicholas.
So basically, the first community service initiative issue on the Sunway's Back to School program issue is the program is only carried out in Kuala Lumpur's area, which is the only urban area. So what's the impacts of the issue? The impacts of the issue, there are two impacts of the issue. Firstly, the rural area student won't have a chance to get a free school necessities. And secondly, people of rural areas won't know the Sunway existences because of the programs are were focused on the rural area. So yeah, how to overcome this? Sunway must do the project to students in rural areas since students in rural areas don't have a big chance compared to the urban area students to get a necessities. And also, if Sunway do the program in the rural areas, people in rural areas will know the existence of Sunway and makes the good image for them. And I'll pass on to my friend, the second issue.
So for a second issue is that the tenants of Sunway Group is still performing unhealthily. Because the public is afraid to visit the shopping malls, let alone the high possibility of consumers window shopping as a leisure activity. Although Sunway Group has done an initiative of giving a 14 days rent. So the solution here is that they could have motivate the consumer's decision process in recognizing their needs and stimulating them to search for initial information on tenants' product by utilizing their resources on social media platforms. For example, they can use their Facebook, Instagram to boost the tenants' shop so that consumers know where to find them. Next slide. For the SWOT analysis, for the first one, the strength is that they have a strong leadership and capable management. So, for example, the success of the company relies strongly upon the influence of a good leader, who is Tan Sri Dato Sri Dr. Jeffrey Cha, who is capable of motivating and inspiring his team towards achieving the company's goal. And for the weakness is that the first one is the high net gearing, where they are always engaged with mergers and acquisition, which requires borrowing from banks. However, they will sustain around 600 to 700 million of unsold inventory despite the reflating property market. Secondly, they are strongly dependent on property sector, where it contributes to 70% of the group's earning. Therefore, as mentioned, they are very fragile towards the risk of interest rates, where when the interest rate rises, consumers borrowing money from the banks for loan approvals will be more expensive, thus reducing the property buying power. The first opportunity is that they have acquiring dividends from their venture via Sunway Global in China. As China raises demand for building materials, they have become one of the major suppliers for pavers in Guangzhou Asian Games 2010 and Shanghai Expo 2010 as a mean to build their company presence in China. Secondly, they also venture into virtual and augmented reality mobile application. So, for example, Sunway Group explores new businesses in project management consultancy, being the first contractor to use virtual design and construction (VDC) platform to mitigate design faults, construction costs, and delays. Lastly, the threat. The external threat we can see is the increasing interest rate as well as economic slowdown due to COVID-19 pandemic, which affects their property and mall businesses. Secondly, the slower rollout of projects and spiking raw material costs is their internal threat, which are inimical to Sunway's construction businesses, as government's body are involved in controlling the pandemic by cutting down operational staff to 50% or more in relation to the working sectors. That's all.
Yeah, for the methodology part, we will discuss about how can the company do better and what method they should use. So how can the company do better? Sunway should provide the school essential to more unprivileged students in rural areas, as being said by Hafizh just now, as they are one of the neediest generation compared to students who live in urban places. This is because students who live in such areas do not have enough resources to buy school stuff and writing materials. The amount of stationery stores is slightly limited in rural areas compared to students that are living in towns which have plenty of them. This could help both Sunway Group and unprivileged students that are living outside towns and cities, as their company will be more well known for recognizing the poorest need. And what method they should use? Sunway Group should use questionnaire survey methods, as this will help them to gather statistical information about the attributes and population characteristics using a structured set of questions. This technique will enable them to examine students that are living in rural or urban places need the most supplies in school essentials. In the Journal of Computer Mediated Communication 2017, Wright states that recent online surveys are much easier and faster compared to the past 10 years, which online surveys used to be a time-consuming operation that required experience with web authoring program, HTML coding, and scripting programs. Sunway Group will be able to access information from thousands of students in distant locations about their issues and problems immediately, which can save both their time and effort. Next slide.
So for the expected result, as we recommended the Sunway Group to perform a better CSI, which is the first to perform the back to school CSI in the rural area too, but not just the urban area to help more people that need this more. And the second CSI to utilize its resources on social media platform, given the excessive followers to advertise tenants' products. We expected that both of our recommendation can work better for their CSI project. Firstly, perform their first CSI on a rural area, as the reason that Sunway Group performs CSI activity were trying to help people which is living difficulty and also build their company image better. Sunway Group should also help people who are living in a rural area too, because people who were living there will need more help compared to the urban one. By doing it, people who were living at the rural area will be having a good image of your company, and we also increase the reputation of the company. People who live in rural area won't be so familiar with the Sunway Group. The reason is because most of their properties and shopping mall is in urban area. Therefore, helping people who live in rural area could affect their reputation too. Secondly, the reason why should the Sunway Group utilize their resource on social media platform given excessive follower to advertise tenants' products, not just to subsidize the rental, is because helping those tenants by providing them a free rental, we only help those tenants to cut off some part of their expenses. The biggest issue they have made are all their stocks and services were not being sold. Therefore, although the tenants were not required to pay the rental, they still had zero income during the pandemic. Sunway Group provide them a 14 days free rental. What if during these 14 days the tenant still did not have any income? How are they going to pay for ongoing rental? Therefore, Sunway Group should help those tenants by providing them with an online shop that could help tenants to show their product and services to customers who are afraid to go out shopping. Besides that, provide them a promotion to attract more attention to their product. So I'll pass the conclusion to Yasin.
So yeah, to conclude this report, there are 4 points that we can conclude. Firstly, Sunway succeed run those two CSI projects, Sunway Back to School and subsidizing rental payment to tenants to society. And secondly, Sunway also pays attention towards SWOT analysis and also following by the expected result for the first CSI is helping students in rural areas. And lastly, expected result for the second CSI is utilize Sunway social media resources to use the online form or questionnaires to gather statistical information and also use the social media to help the tenants to do online shopping or something. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.